Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Play, episode 3. Today is November 15th, 2012, and this show is all about talking about basic strategy and tips and tricks and all those sort of things for new players and spectators to a variety of competitive titles. Today we're going to be focusing on the popular free-to-play game League of Legends, and I'm going to warn you right now, this episode is probably going to be really long. I tried to cram a bunch of stuff into it. I just picked a random match we're going to be looking at, and it's like 61 minutes. Of course, we're going to be jumping through, but it's still going to be a pretty long episode. Before I begin, though, I wanted to let everyone know that a while back I created an ad block whitelist. See, I really like using ad block. I know I'm terrible, but I do like it because I think there's some websites that just have like really invasive ads and stuff, and most of the time I don't care. But I wanted to create a whitelist for supporting esports because I still wanted to be able to see all the ads on esports websites and their YouTube and Twitch TV content. So I created a whitelist specifically for esports. And let's bring up the screen right now. If you head over to spawnroom.com, at the bottom of the page here, it says TSR adblock.txt, and this goes to this page, and this is the whitelist itself. This has there's like hundreds of websites, popular and obscure esports websites on here. I update it as often as possible, and all you have to do is once you get the link, like you just copy the link, right click your ad block, go to options. As you can see, I have it enabled right now, but you just hit add filter subscription, add a different subscription, name it whatever you want. Oops. Paste in the address and hit add, and it will add it, and then you can use that to just help support esports more. I also have a previous YouTube video that explains it in more detail, kind of like the purpose and how to do it and everything like that. So yeah, if you're interested in supporting esports by seeing ads and whatnot, you can enable that, and it's helpful. Also, it also does not apply to YouTube though. So if you're watching a YouTube video, most YouTube videos like for esports stuff are also found on their like original website. So if you go to like spawnroom.com/blog and watch this video on there, there would be ads. But if you watch it on YouTube, there won't be. So I know it's a controversial topic maybe, but whatever. For people that use AdBlock but want to support esports, there's a solution. Okay, so let's jump right into this episode. Behind the play for League of Legends. Okay, we're going to start with, we're going to be covering like literally everything. So if you've never played the game before, you're just starting, or you're just watching it for the first time, this is going to be pretty comprehensive, so buckle up. Okay, we're going to start with the interface. Okay, so this is what the game, once you download the client, make a user account, launch it, log in, here's what you get. I'm just going to focus on the main elements that we need to know about. So first of all, there's the two style of points. There's riot points and influence points, and those are what you use to buy stuff from the store. You can buy, let's see, champions. You can buy skins, but that's only with RP. If you're into that kind of thing, you can buy runes, which affect your champions. So there's that. Let's see. You also, if you're just starting the game for the first time, once you reach, I think, level 3, you get free RP. So that you can use that to buy like a champion or something. Although I think you have to wait till they're on sale because they only give you 400, and I think the cheapest RP champion might be 450. It's kind of stupid. You can also buy RP, which I recommend. I mean, it's a free-to-play game, but if you're having a lot of fun with it, consider throwing them, 10 or 20 bucks at least. Considering you get like a full game that has a lot of fun matches in it. Okay, let's move on to the important stuff. Profile page. This is a list of all the champions. There are currently, I believe, 107. Which, if you play Dota 2, or you've heard of Dota 2 and you're wondering how they compare, I think Dota 2 currently has about 108. That is released. If you go on the test servers and stuff, there might be more, but... So pretty close there. You can, if you're just starting up, you can go to Available, And as you can see, these are all the champions that are you as the logged in user can currently play. The ones with the exclamation marks are free to play for that week. Every week there are 10 different free to play champions. So you can. So what I would recommend if you're just starting. Play the free-to-play for a few weeks and figure out which champions you really like, because they're all a lot different, and depending on what your preferences are, you might discover that some champions are really awesome and you love them, and some champions you just hate because the way that they're played. So definitely consider that. You can also do filtering, so you can try and figure out. So let's say this is literally like one of the first times you've played. You might want to come in here and go to, like I like ranged champions. I don't want to be up close. I want to shoot in the back, and I want to be like a mage caster kind of person. There you go. You can go through here, check them out. I own Ari. I've had a lot of fun playing with her. You can, see what her different abilities are, see what sounds interesting, and then eventually you can start picking them up as you play more games and earn more influence points. Okay, then there's runes. Runes are, let's see, how do I describe these? Basically, they're just like little tokens that you can apply to your champion, and they give you more abilities. You can stack them. Honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about that quite yet. I'm waiting actually till I'm 30 to even really worry about it, because I think we might form a team at some point, and I'm not sure what position I'd play anyway. But I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. Plus, it says on the League Wikipedia, I was reading about it, if you want to purchase all the top or tier 3 runes, it costs 397,000, just under 400,000 IP, which at approximately, and you make, so that's freaking ridiculous. If you earned about an average of say 170 IP, which I think could be a good average, that's over 2,000 games. If you did that at approximately 30-minute games, that's 47 straight days of playing to earn that much, or 142 8-hour days. So honestly, with runes, just don't worry about them right now. That's a long ways away for a new player like yourself. Okay, so next up is masteries. These are kind of like if you've played in any RPGs, if you played World of Warcraft, or pretty much any RPG, they have talent trees. And masteries that's what they are. So you can make ones, as you can see, I actually have all 20 of them made for the different champions I have. But you can make more generic ones. I just did this because I have under 20 champions, so I can do it. But you can make just, like an AP mastery that's kind of generic, a jungle, a tank, an AD, and I'll talk about those abbreviations in a little bit here. For figuring out, there are basically two ways you can figure out how to do masteries. Either one, you can use logic and just think I'm playing a champion who's about attack damage, so I'm going to put points and do damage-related points. Or you can go, the website I really like to use is mobafire.com. They have a section for guides. You can go in and they have all the masteries. You can check them out. You can see what works. Pick the champion that you want to play, and you can do it that way. And it makes when you're getting into the game a lot easier. And the last is summoner spells. These are, every match you get to choose 2 of them prior to the match beginning. Now, Barrier and Garrison we're not going to focus on because this is for custom games only, and this one is only for Dominion, and we're going to be focusing on what's played competitively. Okay, so I guess I'll go through these quickly. There's Exhaust, which basically just slows a target champion down. It's super useful. When I play, I generally play with Flash and Exhaust. I found those two to be highly useful, the best in my mind. Flash allows your champion to quickly move from one point to the other. Wherever your mouse pointer is, they'll flash towards that location. So this allows you to either engage people really quickly or escape, jump up ledges, or whatever you got to do. A lot of other people choose Flash Ignite. So what you're going to find is Flash is almost everyone almost has Flash pretty much all the time. And so you're going to have Flash in one of these other ones. So Flash and Exhaust is really nice, or Flash Ignite is really nice. Ignite basically just lights the player on fire, so if they're really low health and you ignite them and they run away, they're still going to die. You can basically secure yourself a kill. Of course, you can shield or heal through it, but for the most part, it can be useful. There's Ghost, which allows you fast run speed, although you will see a number of people with Ghost. However, I personally haven't found it super useful. I mean, you can get to locations faster, but then again, I would rather probably just have teleport then. Maybe it depends on what champion you're playing. Like, I use teleport with Malphite, which is a tankier character, because I can teleport right to the front lines and get involved in the fight. Maybe Ghost would be, because there's no unit collision, maybe Ghost would be, I don't know, I guess I just haven't found it as useful. Like, you might have to experiment yourself. Heal is pretty useful, although I feel like the utility of heal is slightly less than some of these other ones. But heal is good, especially at a lower level, when you're starting out, because it can, just save your life. If you're ignited, you can pop it, and you'll be fine. It heals the people around you, so it can be good for, like low-level teams. But in the future, I would steer away from it. I think, Flash Ignite, Flash Exhaust, maybe Clairvoyance or Cleanse or Teleport, like these would be a lot more useful than Heal, in my opinion. Revive, like no one uses. In my mind, it's utterly pointless, because the point of the game is like, you don't want to die, so you shouldn't even have Revive, because that's not part of your goal. Having Revive is like saying, yeah, I'm planning on dying a bunch, so I'm going to have Revive so I can get back to the fight faster. Well, just, if you play smarter, you don't need Revive, is basically how I think about it. Smite is a jungle spell. It only is usable on minions and neutral mobs. You can't use it on champions. It deals a high amount of damage. You generally have one jungler in your team comp, so that jungler will have generally Smite and Flash, or Smite and something else. And this allows them to kill blue buff and red buff monsters and Dragon much quicker, so that they can keep up in levels and stuff like that. Surge, I haven't really used that much. It's basically just a buff. It might be useful in certain scenarios, but I feel that the utility of Surge is probably not as good as some of the other combos I mentioned. Again, experiment, see what you think, but I don't know. Okay, so Teleport allows you to teleport to, you can teleport onto towers, minions, friendly wards, basically anything that's friendly. You can teleport to, so that you can travel around the map faster. Of course, there's a fairly long cooldown, so you can only cast it here and there, but it's great for if some enemies are about to move on your turret and there's no one there to protect it, you can teleport in and protect it and save it. You can also teleport right to team fights, like I said earlier. So teleport is useful. I suggest having it, maybe at least one on your team. Cleanse removes all disables and summoner spell debuffs. Again, this is one that I've seen used, but not a lot. I think it depends a lot on the champion, what they're weak against. If you're like an AD carry, it could be very useful, because your goal as like an AD carry is to stay alive and do lots of damage. So Cleanse could get you out of stuns and stuff like that, and you could get back into the fight. Move away and deal a bunch more damage. Again, experiment. Clarity is very similar to Heal, except it's mana focused. This one is even less useful, though, than Heal, in my opinion. Heal is at least useful even further into the game. Clarity feels like it's only useful at the very, very beginning, like when you're all low mana. Even, like, say, Malphite again, he's a champion who is very mana-starved at the beginning of the game. But even him, who doesn't have a lot of mana, I find, like, later in the game, I rarely would ever use Clarity at all. Like, I still have plenty of mana, because you build items that give you mana, and you're fine. So Clarity, to me, seems incredibly useless. Unless maybe you're the mid champion and you want to be really spammy at the beginning. I could see it using, like, when I play Ahri, since she also gets mana starved sometimes. Clarity might be really good if you're up against a certain champion mid and you can spam against them. Test it out, but I would suggest against it, personally. Like I said, Ignite is for burning. Promote is also one of the summoner spells that I don't see very often. Promote, it empowers a minion. I've seen some strats with it. It can be useful for, like, controlling a lane. You could, like, promote a minion and then run away and not have to worry about that lane for a little while, because that minion will do a lot of damage. But trading one of these other summoner spells for promote seems like a pretty bad trade unless you're going to do something really unique. So I would suggest steering away from it, especially at a lower level. I don't even think you can get it till, yeah, level 8. Clairvoyance is very nice. This one's not till level 10, but this allows you to... the cooldown's fairly short, so you can cast it a lot. It allows you to basically put a circle of sight anywhere on the map, so you can just look in the enemy jungle, you can look at Dragon, you can look at other minions, all sorts of stuff. You can look in bushes and see if there's enemies there. It's really useful. I generally see support champions having it because it's like a really nice utility for them. And then Flash was the one where you can flash away, flash up on ledges or down. You can chase people, get away. Super useful. Once you unlock Flash, you're probably going to use it 99% of the time. Okay, so that covers everything there. Okay, next we're going to talk about really quickly is the game modes. First of all, if you're new, do the tutorials. They'll help. I thought there used to be a reward. I thought you got IP or RP for it, but I'm not sure if you do anymore. Either way, you should still do it, though. The other ones, these don't really matter for what we're talking about here. In PvP, there's 2 modes. There's Classic and Dominion. Dominion, we're not going to talk about today. It's like an extra, just kind of, in my mind, it's like a fun mode. It's not really strategic or competitive, or at least not nearly as much as the normal one. It's basically a good, what I use it for is testing champions. If you want to go launch up Dominion and test out a new champion you've never played before, you get in a lot of fights. The spawn times are a lot shorter. You don't have to run as far. It's fun too. Definitely check it out at some point. Then there's Classic, there's 5v5, which is the competitive mode, and I'll go on that in a sec. And then there's 3v3. 3v3 is, I used it predominantly when I was low level because it was a much simpler, so it was a lot easier to learn the game. So if you're a brand new player, I would suggest trying 3v3 because you might find it a lot easier than 5v5. But 5v5 is ultimately the competitive mode. This is what everyone's playing on pro matches. This is what they're playing at all the events. And what they... okay, so then there's 2 modes. There's there's normal and ranked, but then they're broken down into blind and draft pick. So blind pick is just like a really casual way to play. That's generally what you're going to play. Because it's just easy. You can get in, you can choose your champions, go in and start playing. That's, if you're starting up the game and you want a 5v5, that's what you select. Draft pick is great if you have a team formed. Doing this by yourself is still fun, but like I have friends who play this game, so we'll have a full team of 5 and we'll do draft pick, which is where you get to ban 3 champions, the enemy team bans 3 champions, and then you get to select back and forth, and you guys can't play the same champions. It's definitely more competitive and it's a lot more strategic in that way. Okay, so that covers the game modes. And okay, so we are ready to start up the replay, and I just have a random one here. So let's do that. And while it's loading here, I want to talk about some of the abbreviations that you're going to find in this game. So, okay, let's see if it's going. Yep. Alright, so there's AD and AD carry, which stands for attack damage. And what that is basically just a high damage champion that's going to carry the team to victory. They're the guy that you rely on for really tearing apart the enemy team. Tanks and off-tanks, high health, armor, they can sustain a lot of damage. Support champions who have support abilities like buffs and heals and all those sorts of things. AP or AP mid is attack power. A lot of AP characters tend to go mid because they have casting abilities and high sustain. Sustain is the ability to remain in a lane for a long period of time without having to go back. Attack speed is AS. HP armor or MR, that's hit points, health, armor, or magic resist. CDR is cooldown reduction. We've got, let's see, Lifesteal or Spell Vamp. Lifesteal is stealing away life and giving it to you. Spell Vamp is you doing damage and it returns health to you. Jungle is a non-laning champion, and let's see. I'm going to pause this for a sec till I get done with this. Jungling is the champions that are going in this dark area here, where there's neutral mobs. And their job is to move around there, do the neutral mobs, and stop in lanes and try and get ganks on enemy champions. And we'll see that in the future here. CC is crowd control. That's like stuns, slows, roots, those sort of things. Assassin or stealth, champions that can become invisible or ambush opponents effectively. MIA, INC, or Inc, RE, that's missing in action. That's generally if you're playing, say, your top lane, and mid all of a sudden says MIA, that means their champion, the guy that they're up against, is suddenly missing, suspiciously. So that means you need to be careful. If you're, way out here, and they moved up here, then you're going to have a 2v1 situation, and it's very likely you will die. So keep an eye on the chat. Keep an eye on pings. Pings are, I think I can do that in here. Yep. Oh, that's weird. Oh, because it's paused. Okay, so anyway, you can ping the map, so keep an eye out for that. Generally, people ping if they're like MIA mid, and then they'll ping like the top or bottom river, indicating that that champion's probably moving in that direction. Inc stands for incoming, although I don't see very many people using that. And then there's RE, which means my champion reappeared, my enemy champion reappeared, or it. Like, the first thing that I ever thought of when I saw it was redacted, like what I just said was redacted. But whatever it means to you, basically just means that ignore what I said previously. And finally, CS is creep score. It's the amount of minions you've killed. So if someone says, you have terrible CS, you're a noob, that just means you need to farm more. Okay, so let's unpause this. And check out our champion situation. So everyone, when you start up the game, everyone starts on the summoner platform. You can see there's a little shop guy there that you can buy from. Unfortunately, I don't think I can open the buy menu in spectator mode, apparently. So that kind of sucks, but we can take a look. You can see as they're buying items down here, they'll start to pop up. So we have 2 champions who've currently purchased stuff, and you can start to see it popping up there. And, oop, I got directed camera on. And let's pause it for a sec. So, what champions do we got in this match? We've got Darius, Soraka, which is support. Darius is going to be going solo top. Maokai is the jungle on the purple team, I guess. Misfortune is the AD carry going bot. And so then we have AD carry and the support player, Soraka, will generally lane together, virtually always, because they're good to work off. This champion here will have really high damage, and this champion will be able to heal and support them. So that's the idea there. And then Darius, who's going solo top, has high sustain. He can stay in the lane and protect it by himself 1v1. And Gragas will be going mid. On the bottom side here, or blue side, we got Ezreal, who will be the AD carry for their team. He does high damage, and he will be supported by Jana, or whatever. And we got Teemo, who will be going solo top. I feel like Teemo doesn't have the greatest sustain. I think against Darius, he's going to have problems, but we'll see about that. Rammus is their jungler. And Morgana is their mid. Okay. So, let's see. What do you need to know about the beginning of the game? So, first of all, the summoner platform can be reached at any time by pressing the B button. And basically, if you're within these inhibitors here, like say this is your base, if you're in here, you can run back to the platform. But virtually any time you're outside of that, it's faster to recall by pressing B and heading back than it is to run back. So like even if you're by this tower, running from this tower to here might actually take longer than recalling from here to here, even though there's a cast time. So just something to consider. Generally you're going to want to recall. And I remember doing that when I first started playing. I wasn't used to that. So I'd be like out here, and then I'd be like, oh crap, I need to go buy some items. So then I'd like manually run back, and then I'd be like, damn it, I should have teleported. That would have been so much faster. Okay, so starting items, we can take a look at that really quick. Most of the time, most builds, at least the good ones that I've found, start with a pair of boots and 3 potions. You have obviously a limited amount of gold, so you can't just buy whatever you want. And generally, that's a good buy, or at least like a safe buy. As we can see, though, there are some champions that didn't get that. The junglers, like Rammus here, he got a cloth armor because he is going to be fighting jungle mobs, and jungle mobs are stronger than minions, and he's going to actually be taking the damage. See, when you're in a lane with minions, the minions attack each other, and then you get to just stand on the side and kill them. So you're not actually taking a lot of damage from them. When you're jungling, you're taking direct damage from the neutral mobs, so they need a bit more protection, I guess. If we look at mid, let me line these up really quick. For some reason, this doesn't like line up automatically. Well, I'll do that in a sec. Our support champions have mana regen, and they are generally in charge of purchasing wards and vision wards and oracles and potions and stuff like that. Because they don't spend like get a lot of gold or spend a lot. They do spend what they have, but they spend it on things that support the team, like sight wards are really useful. Misfortune, who's the AD carry, went with Dorn's Blade, which gives 80 health, 10 attack damage, and 3% lifesteal. So she'll have when she gets to her lane, rather than buying boots and potions, which allow her to run faster and heal through damage, she'll have more damage to dole out at the beginning. And Ezreal went boots and potions, and he'll be the one that's up against her. So I guess we'll see how that plays out in a little bit. Right. Oh, okay, so then, this is just a really subtle little tip, but I wanted to bring it up for a specific reason. And the reason is, well, I guess the tip, first of all, is when you first spawn, so say we're at the loading screen again, and you're just about to spawn, when you're playing at a really high level, you look for quick subtleties, like things that give you just the tiniest little edge. And it's important, if you're interested in competitive play, to start thinking in that way very early on. So, as a very simple example of what I mean, when you're on the loading screen and it's about to load, rather than just casually sitting back and waiting for it to load, you can be ready by having your finger on the letter P, which opens the buy menu, and the moment it loads, hit P, click on whatever you want to buy it really quickly, and then start running. So say I just bought it, and click the minimap and start moving down here immediately, rather than casually sitting back, loads, then you move to press P, then you buy something, and then you go down to you'll have a skill point to spend, and people click, okay, I'm gonna get this skill, and they'll click it, and then they'll start moving. Well, by the time you finish doing that, even though it's really subtle, it literally might buy you 2 or 3 seconds, depending on how fast you are, right? So if you were going to be here by doing it the slow way, if you did it really fast by being like ready to go, ready, loads, you hit P, you buy, and then you click, and then as you're running, you spend your skill point, you buy yourself a couple seconds. So you, instead of ending up here, you end up like at the end of your jungle grass, which might not sound like a big deal, but if they're not fast on the other team and they end up here, well, you end up here, you take a few steps across, now you control this grass as they move in. So it just gives you that like little bit of an edge. Of course, it's such a subtle like nuance, but the reason I bring it up is just because it's little things like that that later on, like as you're trying to improve, little things like that add up. So just something to think about. Alrighty. Basic item strategy. I guess we can talk about that. Besides the intro items here, it's when you go on MobaFire, like I said, or wherever you're looking for, guides on how to play champions. Generally, they'll have a build, right? So Ezreal is gonna go. He's gonna have an AD build because he's like an AD carry champion. I mean, he could have something else, but for the most part, he's gonna have an AD carry build. The basic item strategy is just for, like, if you don't know what to buy and it's early on, you can buy the suggested items. Just look and see what it offers. Does it offer attack damage? Then just buy it. Eventually you'll want to like get better at recognizing what to buy, but for the most part, just buy, like, if I'm playing an AP character, I buy AP items. If I'm playing an AD character, I buy AD items. If I'm playing a tank, I buy health and armor. Don't worry about like, oh my god, I'm overwhelmed because there's so many items. Just buy what makes sense right now. The other thing to think about is, who am I up against? If one of their champions, like say would be a good example. Say for purple team, say Morgana was really fed. Like, she got a bunch of free kills, and she's really powerful, and she's tearing people apart. She's an AP character, so you could buy magic resist. That's like the general idea, is like, who is doing the most harm to us? Okay, it's a AP caster character. I'm going to buy magic resist gear so that I can mitigate some of her damage. If it's AD, buy armor. You know, if they have a really high attack speed or with auto attacks or something like that, maybe buy Thorn Mail, which returns damage back to the source. Things like that. That's basically your strategy, is buy what makes sense for what I'm doing, damage, attack power, tanks, whatever, and then buy things that mitigate what's causing us problems. So that's like the simplest way to think about it. And then in the future you can learn more about the specific items. Let's see. Okay, I think we're good there. So let's get this rolling again. A little bit of homework you can do is know your roles. Like I said, who are you playing, and what do they need? How do they fit into the dynamic of what's going on? If you're playing an AD carry champion, be sure to stick with your support, and be sure to be the guy who's kind of, you know, on the fringes doing lots of damage and not right in the middle getting torn to pieces. If you're playing someone like Malphite or Blitzcrank, they're really good at engaging the enemy team, so make sure you're engaging the enemy team. If you're escaping, like another one is Master Yi and Nidalee are really good at escaping from precarious situations. So if you know that one of your teammates is playing Yi and you're like, oh my god, he's going to get killed by those enemies, you don't need to go run in and get yourself killed trying to save them, because surprisingly, a lot of, if they're decent at Master Yi or Nidalee or whoever, they'll just get away anyway, so you could like needlessly sacrifice your life. So you know, try and figure out what is my role, what am I personally trying to accomplish here, because it's very easy to come into League of Legends and go, I want to get kills and do lots of damage, but depending who you're playing, that might not be your main role. If you can get a kill and you can do good damage, then do it, but if you can't, then, you know, focus on what you're supposed to be doing, and ask your team if you don't know. They can help you out, you know. Okay, let's talk about level 1 positioning. In a non-competitive, say you're just a casual player trying to get into League of Legends so you can understand it more. What is the positioning going to be? At a low level, you're probably just going to have your lanes. If you have a jungler, you know, he's gonna end up being here because he wants to get blue buff, just like they're over here. They want to get the blue buff when it spawns at 155. But a lot of like low-level games don't even have junglers, just because it's a more complicated position. So when you start at just a casual beginner positioning at level 1, you guys are just going to be in your lanes, and you can either just stand by the tower. You know, if you got a late start, if the game loaded and you paused for a little bit because you didn't know what items to buy, that's fine. Just run over here and stand here. Do not run in here, or here, or here, or here. Like, avoid grass, because of that pause, the enemy champions could easily be sitting in here, and you just run up, la 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 la, and you just get pulled in and killed like instantly. This game is very like not forgiving, and League of Legends is actually considered fairly easy in terms of MOBAs. Like if you play Dota 2, which I'm planning on doing strategy for that in the future, that game's even less forgiving. Like you'd be like standing here and they just pull you in and kill you like instantly. But in League of Legends, same thing. It's not forgiving, so just, if you got a late start, stand here. If you got a really early start and you were quick about it, stand in the grass here, preferably not here unless you're planning on attacking, because if they have Blitzcrank or Ezreal or whatever, they'll shoot skill shots in here, and if they hear it hit, they might just decide to come in and attack you since you're already injured. So if you stand back here, you can still see them if they come through, and it's a bit safer. But if you're playing more competitive, let's say you've played a little bit of LoL and you want to start stepping up the game, you're going to have, you know, jungles grabbing blue or depending on the jungle character, they might grab red first. So sometimes your team will tell you, like, everyone, you know, bot lane and mid come meet at red because we're going to grab it, or top lane and mid come at blue and leash it for me, which means Morgana would do a leash, which means she shoots blue through the woods, and the blue minion will actually start walking around to try and get her, and it allows Rammus to get a bunch of free damage on him. And then, like, when the minion's about, you know, here or something, he'll switch focus onto Rammus, and Rammus can start fighting him. And basically, it just mitigates the damage that's done to Rammus. So there's that. As we can see here, these champions, what these are doing is Gragas is going to, if I remember correctly, he's going to leash blue. And then we have a couple champions that are probably just going to help out. They're going to do a little bit of damage and then run away. The important thing with jungling to remember, like if you're this guy or this guy or this guy, you do not want to be very close to this position when the blue minion dies, because if you are, you actually steal experience away, and it makes it a little bit, you know, just a little bit harder for the jungler then. So do a little bit of damage, run away before it dies. Do not steal it. That's the other thing. Don't accidentally steal blue, because it literally will fuck everything up. So do a little bit of damage, run away, get to your lanes, and that's when you can start battling it up. Let me see if, like I said, this spawns at 155, so you can know when it's about to pop. Oh, like I said before, when I was talking about up here, how they would fire skill shots in the bushes, that's another good little tip, is do not just run into bushes without testing them, unless you know for sure that no one's there. So for instance, say you're on the purple side, and you came through here, and you were just a little bit late, and you were a little bit suspicious, and like, don't just run into this bush, or don't even run near it. Like, don't run in any of this area, because they'll just kill you. There might be like 5 people literally in this bush. You never know. So it's either what you do is you run down here, you fire a skill shot in. If you don't hear anything, it's safe. You can run out. If you do hear something, that doesn't mean, oh, I got a free shot, I'm going to go attack, because there could literally be 5 guys in there. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So now they're moving down. So you can see that, hold on one sec. We have 3v2 in the bottom lane here, which is a little bit weird, right? Generally in these kind of matches, we have 1v1 on the top, we got the jungle and the jungles, 1v1 in mid, and 2v2 on the bottom. But what's going on here is that Teemo, from the blue team, is setting up for a gank. They want to try and get a really early level 1 kill by killing one of these guys. Now you might be thinking, why didn't they just see Teemo right there? Well, 1, he's in the bushes, so before this person entered the bushes, they didn't know he was there. 2, Teemo has an ability called camouflage that if he stops moving for like a couple seconds, he becomes totally invisible. So he's actually, they have no idea he's there right now. And so, you know, Teemo's just waiting. He's going to try and look for a good moment to step out and kill them. And we can watch that play out right now. So as you can see, this is when Soraka dropped a ward and it revealed him. So it was one of the vision wards, so they might have suspected that he was there. So then they saw him, they were able to get off a bunch of damage, and now Teemo's plan has been ruined, and he must go back. Plus Sona took a lot of damage. So these guys are looking definitely a little bit better than the bot lane, other blue bot lane right now. And Teemo he teleported back, and now he's actually using his teleport ability, teleport to the tower, and he's going to take over top lane. Okay. Let's see, what else? Oh, if we go back for a second, just to point out, this is another basic thing. As you can see, there's green stuff coming out of Soraka. All that is she popped one of her health potions. So if you see someone who, you know, if you're fighting against someone and they popped a health potion, just know that you're going to be healing for some amount of damage to sustain them in the lane. So there's that. And I think, okay, so now lanes are returning to normal. We've got, oh, Teemo went back again. All right. Oh no, sorry, I rewound. I'm confusing myself. Okay, so step one, we're in the lanes. Normal game has started. So step one is learn to last hit, and that means, so you can watch Ezreal doing it. He just got 22 gold for being the guy who killed that minion. So he's gonna try and get that one. He got it. He got 22 gold. This is what you want to do this is the first thing that you need to get really, really good at, is last hitting, because farming is super important. If you can, because you can, each minion wave you can average up to like 150 gold. Not average, that's like the max you can get. But you can average a very high amount. And if you can get really good at that, you're going to have a huge leg up on your competition. If they even are just, even a little bit worse at farming than you, you're just going to have that bit of an edge. So get really, really good at it. Your goal should literally be like, I want to be the best farming, like the best farmer in the world, I guess. So, step one, that's step one. Step two is play defensively. So right now, I mean, they're playing I would say, if you're just new to this game, these guys are playing more aggressive than you should. Let's see where he ends up right now. So Ezreal's playing back here, right? If you're new to this game, and you like, say this is the next menu you want to get, just play. You want to be just out of reach, basically, of these minions, and then come in to get the kill. You do not want to be like standing right here, even though you get like a nice angle where you can hit all the minions, and bring them all down. It takes very little in this game for them to just pop out, stun you, and then murder you. So if you're standing here, that's like really dangerous. Whatever your opinion is on being defensive, or like how you interpret it in your head, double it. If you think this is defensive, then be like over here, double like the distance that you want to be from this enemy. At least double it, if not triple. Just at the beginning, so you get used to how dangerous it can be to be out in the open. So that's step number two. Be incredibly defensive. And let's see. Get this going here. Oh, another thing I want to bring up is warding. That's what we see right here, these two vision wards. And what these do is allow you to, it creates a gigantic circle of vision. So wherever you plop it down, you can, you can see everything that's going on in that area. And it's super, I feel like it's really underrated, even at a higher level. Like, I'm at level 28 and I play, with 30s and stuff in that area. Even on just normal blind pick matches or whatever, people I feel like a lot of matches, they do not buy enough wards. And I'm not sure what their thinking is exactly, because wards are super useful. I mean, when does Sona move back? There's a part where she moves back over here. And, let's see, let's see, 420, yeah. Well, let me just, I guess, give an example. Like, say Ezreal was here just by himself, right? Or maybe we could, yeah. Say Ezreal, or, yeah, let's do it up here. Teemo's by himself, he's up against Darius, and say he's got Darius, like, pushed back or something, and he doesn't have this warded. It's super easy for him to get jumped by their jungler, Maokai. Say he was just, he runs up in the bushes, Teemo has no idea. It's so easy for you to just get jumped by two guys. And wards only cost 75 gold, and you can easily average around 100 gold per minion wave, and each minion wave spawns every 30 seconds, which means every 3 minutes when a new ward needs to be planted, you spend 75 gold to place that ward, right? But you average, say, 80 gold per wave, which is probably pretty average, I guess, which equates to 480 gold every 3 minutes. So 75 of that is a pretty small price to pay to more or less save your life. 75 gold is like nothing, because if you die, like if they do a gank on you, not only do you lose, like, you give them a bunch of gold, first of all. So I think maybe was it bot lane? If you watch right here, watch how much gold they get for getting this kill on Rammus. 416 and 236. That was also for first blood, so she got a little bit of a bonus there. But that is a lot of gold to give away. And that happens so often when you don't have a ward. Like, had you had that jungle or that river ward up, you would have been able to get away safely. But instead of just spending 75 gold, you gave them 400, 500 gold, 600 gold, whatever it is. It's, you know, that is a huge bonus to them. Not to mention, you lose lane time, meaning that they can push on your tower, you can miss a bunch of minion farming, so it really pushes you back a lot. So purchase the wards. It's totally 100% useful, and it's not that expensive. So let's get this going again. And if we head to, so we can see them battling it out, everyone's pretty low. And I think if we go, let's see, up to mid here, there's going to be a gank attempt. Okay, so yeah, let me pause this for a sec. Or actually, let's go back. So as we can see, Maokai was... Oops. Maokai came down. So they were pushing on this whole time. He came down to kind of see if, oh, are they gonna, you know, push out again to try and get these two guys. I can come up and clean up. But there's a ward there, so they know he's there. So he's just gonna take off. You know, there's not gonna be a surprise attack or anything. So now they just pinged the jungle because they know he's here and they know he's headed up. So we also got Rammus, who's immediately saw that ping and knew that Maokai was there. So he is heading straight towards Morgana, who is farming wraiths, and wraiths give you health bonus. I believe she was there because she's being slightly outlaned. He's got a level over her. What's the gold at? 1089 to 1173. So he's getting a bit of an advantage. So she probably left the lane, kill these wraiths to get a health boost, which you'll see in a second, and a little bit of gold. Safely. And, you know, she knows that Maokai's coming too. The pings were there, she knows, but she also knows that Rammus is coming, so she pops her shield and she engages because they are hoping that they can get a 2v1 gank. But this is where good players come in. Gragas immediately responds and he comes down and he helps his ally. And you can see, that's like another awesome thing that rarely happens, it seems like. He's put himself between the enemies and the weakened player because he's got a lot of health and he can take some hits yet. This is like never happens. People always just, oh no, there's two of them, so like Gragas will just like run away and Maokai will just die because he takes a bunch more damage. Even though Gragas, I mean, as you can see right here, watch, and they all get away safely. That could happen a lot more if people would just, you know, aid each other a little bit, I guess. Okay. So we got that, and then we got another gank coming down here. Oh, and this is the this is like the fail gank, I think. So, oh yeah, okay, so this is kind of stupid. So they're trying to get Soraka. For whatever reason, Sonya just runs away. Like, she should back off a bit because misfortune will just rip her to shreds. But the moment she was in like the jungle, in this jungle part here, she would have been safe, and she could have potentially saved Rammus or given him more damage. She could have empowered Ezreal. And if you go back again, let's go back 15 seconds. As you can see too, watch this. They start engaging and Ezreal doesn't react. Now he's reacting. The fight's already been going on for a decent amount of time. He should have been paying more attention. He could have already been up there. He could have got Soraka killed earlier. He could have finished off Misfortune, especially if Jaina was there. I mean, look at it. She got away with like no health. She could have auto-attacked one time and got the kill. So it's very important to be map aware. Be watching this mini map like crazy because you have to know when stuff like that is happening. So they got a, let's see, that was a 2-for-1 trade. They ended up getting Soraka for Ezreal and Rammus, which is not good, because, let's see, Misfortune, okay, so let's take a look at that again. I gotta go back for a sec. So Misfortune got away. She also got away with red buff. She got to keep it. She killed the AD carry in this lane, which is worse than killing the support. The support also can't push the lane very fast by herself, which means that MF can go back nice and comfortably because she got the kill, and she doesn't have to worry about the lane getting pushed all the way to her tower out of control. It just can't be pushed quickly. Not to mention that Rammus died, which is their jungle, but Maokai is still alive, which is their jungle. So if there was an emergency, like for whatever reason, Jaina went crazy and somehow killed all the minions and was pushing on the tower, Maokai could just run down and protect the tower, whereas Rammus could not, if the situations were opposite. Alright. So we'll get that plan again. Man, talking a lot makes my throat really dry. Holy crap. Okay, so we got the game moving back on. So where are we at? Gold differential. I just wanted to point out, just to keep an eye on it. So it's 3-to-1 kills right now, and there's this fairly significant gold differential, 1.3. 1,300 gold is a decent amount. As we can see, the items are different. Misfortune up against Ezreal here. She's got better boots. She's able to buy a sight ward, potions, whereas Ezreal still has to just run with what he's got. Overall, just more stuff. You know, we got the... Where's Gragas, who's still got boots and 2 potions. I guess that's... Okay, so that's equal. Farm's fairly equal. Maokai and Rammus... Or, yeah, Maokai and Rammus. Rammus is falling a bit behind of Maokai. He's also got 2 deaths, whereas Maokai hasn't really done anything yet. And Teemo and Darius. Darius is pulling ahead, starting to, you know, we're going to start noticing him pull ahead significantly in farm, and he's going to get increasingly powerful. So I guess, yeah. And you need to be very aware. In a lot of games, like especially pro games, you can have a 3-to-1 or even like a 5-to-1 or a 6-to-1 kill difference, but the golds can actually be fairly similar if everyone is farming like mad. If you have some wicked farm on your team, you can actually keep up even with a kill, like a bad KDR or whatever. But these guys aren't. They're falling behind a bit. And let's see, fast forward to top lane. Oh, top lane at 7. Okay, so this is kind of interesting gank here. So let's go back to 6:45. So they're battling it out. I think it's been, like I said, I mean, he's getting more farm, but it seems like they're, you know, harassing each other back and forth fairly decent. And what I thought was weird here is I think this was just a, like, random, maybe. I don't know if, because, like, Teemo had blown his exhaust, which means he doesn't have his summoner spell. And maybe he knew where the placements of the mushrooms were. I'm not really sure, but for whatever reason, Maokai ends up coming up at the same time Rammus does. So they both like try to top lane gank at the exact same time. And we can watch that play out here. So he's going to move in. And this is when Rammus comes out, and Maokai's going to come out right away, and the gank's going to go off. And this is kind of another interesting note, I guess, is Teemo, right there, he tried juking. And juking is a little bit more advanced, but it's something that you're going to want to start thinking about when you're in team fights. Juking is where he went for... here, let's go back again. He went for this bush, and then changed directions right away. And what Darius thinks is he's going to just run in the bush to try and lose me, and then run straight through. So if you can watch him for a sec... He runs in, jukes him, and Darius pauses for a sec and then runs out. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the kill because Maokai has his teleport. They chase away Rammus, and now they have, you know, better control of the lane. They got the kill, pulling ahead further in gold. And they ended up getting like, I think they ended up getting 475 gold, if I remember correctly. So you can start to see the difference here. Teemo and Darius, 1,500 gold total to just 1960. So that's pretty significant. I mean, he's going to start being able to purchase items that Teemo just can't get yet. Okay. And let's move to the bot lane. If we move to bot lane at, I think it was 8:30 here. So they're pushed under their tower again. We've got Soraka and MF up here. They're shooting out the ward. Sona is trying to pull Misfortune out so they can get a fight that's happens under their tower, because if the tower can get engaged, they get a bunch of free damage. Now, right there we see Sona. Like, when I first saw this, I was like, what the hell? Why did she move through? But if you watch, it was because MF is shooting her ulti, which is this. It shoots straight out in front, and it does a lot of damage, especially to Sonya. So Sonya moved through. She kind of is trying to bait him a bit because Rammus is coming down, which we can see here. It actually works out pretty well. She is able to get away, and they're able to get the kill on MF. And they give it to Ezreal, which is the AD carry, which is a good idea. And Soraka is able to get away. That was a gain of 432 gold, and it closes the gap just a little bit, or at least maintains it. Okay, so let's move back to the top lane, where another gank happens. Just another successful gank. I guess we can watch that play out. Teemo probably getting a little bit over-aggressive, really, because if you think about it, there's the same level, but but Darius is out farming him. You know, it's 38 to 52. It's starting to get a little bit more significant. He's got an assist. He's definitely got some more gold. He's gonna have some more items, and they have no idea where Maokai is right now. They haven't seen him on the minimap at all. So it's a bit risky for him to be pushing out too much, especially when Darius has his grab like that. So he gets a little careless. He gets pulled in. Maokai jumps in, teleports, and bam. They send the kill over to purple team. Okay. So we can kind of watch this play out for a little bit. He's going to go back. Mid is pretty much back and forth. Looks fairly even. Morgana is actually out farming him right now. She's got 2 Doran's rings over his just 2 potions, which is going to be significantly more powerful. And bot lane's kind of back to normal. So just a couple general notes as we kind of watch this here. First, as a new player, be cautious, rely on your team. Don't be afraid, ask for help or ask for advice. Just be very careful. It's very, as we saw with the gank with Teemo here, it's just really easy to get caught out. Teemo, felt like he was safe. Darius moved in, he grabbed him, he did a ton of damage. Maokai shows up out of nowhere, and he's dead in seconds. That happens a lot as a new player, so you just need to be very, very cautious, very aware. Watch the minimap a lot. Those pings right there, Rammus is trying to let him know, I'm coming up, let's try and get a kill on him. Unfortunately, Darius saw it coming, he seems a bit smarter, so he's playing it safe. It's a good idea. And if you're trading 1-for-1, like a lot of people might think that, if I kill him and he kills me, that's okay. Like, it's just 1-for-1, it doesn't matter. But that's not necessarily always the case. If you die and you have red buff or you have oracles or something, that's worse. Say, if it's 2 AD carries that kill each other and then one has a significant buff, that's you lost more. If support happens to kill an AD carry and the AD carry happens to kill the support, it would be worse for the AD carry because he's important. He has to be doing lots of damage and he's losing his killing spree or whatever. A support's rarely going to kill an AD carry, but if it does happen, that's not as good of a trade. Yeah, so general notes like that, and then let's see, at 10:25 I got a note of something to watch here. So let's go back. We'll watch that fight in a little bit here. At 10:25, Ezreal uses his ulti, And you may be wondering, why did he shoot it right there? There was like nothing to hit. Well, Ezreal had fired it actually a bit earlier, and what he was trying to do was buy time so he can get to this tower. So preferably, you know, maybe he could have waited even a little bit more or fired it just slightly earlier, and he would have got a bunch of minions killed, and he could have like bought a little bit more time. Since it's 3v1 on the tower, they need to try and keep this set of minions and the previous set of minions away, because the moment the minions are under tower range, the tower is going to focus on them, and then these guys can move in and start wearing down at the tower. So you want to, you know, so Ezreal firing his ulti from way back here. I don't know, maybe I should just show the whole thing. So they're coming down, there's the wave of minions, and Ezreal wants, you know, to help out by trying to buy himself some time. So comes through, kills one. Hitting Maokai is just kind of like an extra little bonus, but that's not really why he fired it. Okay, now let's fast forward to 1925. Bot lane split pushing. So this split push, first of all, what is split pushing? Split pushing is when everyone's basically focused on one thing. They're all focused on this 4v4 bottom lane fight, right? Except that doesn't account for everyone. There's two people missing. And one is Darius, and one is Teemo down here. And split pushing is when you try and do a secondary objective while you are basically distracting the enemy team. And that's what Darius is moving in to do. He knows that it's 4v4 down there, and he knows that Teemo is gone because, you know, either he hurt him enough and he had to push away, or Teemo was down here and that's to teleport back. So Darius is confident. He wants to move in and hit this tower because he knows he's got a bit of time. So it's going to be imperative that he hauls ass and tries and at least get some damage on it. So Teemo's heading back, and Teemo kind of fucked up here actually because his teleport's up, so he probably should have just used it, and he could have bought more time. But the problem is, Darius is also level 14, and he's only 11, so he has to be pretty cautious. 3 level difference right now is significant. Like, if Darius chased him right there, and he caught him out right here, not under the turrets, that would have been a sad day for Teemo. But something to think about. I mean, there's this whole team fight going on down here, and blue team might not even realize that Darius is split pushing and taking down this tower. And if you're really good at it, see, like Darius doesn't even care. He's just going right under the turret, and he's going to get a kill. He doesn't even care because he is 3 levels higher. So yeah, split pushing can be really powerful if you're if you have someone on your team that's fast and has high mobility and high damage. Say like someone like Master Yi, he can be running all over the map, taking down towers all by himself as the rest of the team just distracts. But you got to play it right. Yeah. So that team fight played out, and we can take a peek at that really quick. Go back, just to see how it all went down here. So we got a 4v4 pushing in the lane. They choose to engage, and they're trying to avoid going under the tower. Looks like MF just blew her ulti and then canceled it on accident. Okay, so it looks like it's going a lot better for purple. Obviously, they're at a lot higher health. They've had to push back Rammus. They've gotten Ezreal down. Sona puts herself strategically in a better position to try and save Ezreal, but it results in her death. I suppose that's why people don't like to do that. Morgana gets picked, and now they are controlling the lane because Ezreal can't stay. Rammus can't stay, obviously. If they stay there and try and fight under the turret, they're just going to get dived and killed. So there's no way that's happening. So they each gain 150 gold for the turret, including Darius in the top. They got significant damage on here, plus the Teemo kill. And they're going to move and do Dragon, which is an additional set of gold that gets distributed to everyone. So they did a lot right there, and they're really starting to pull ahead in terms of gold. I mean, it's 14-4 kills. And they're doing, you know, Dragon and Tower and stuff. So their gold difference is pretty significant. Okay, so let's move forward to 23. And there's an upcoming team fight here. Okay, so Morgana was hitting up the turret, and she ended up pulling purple. Let's go back a little farther because that was a little bit out of context. So Morgana moves in to start attacking the turret. They tell her to go back because There are Misfortunes running around. There's Gragas is coming in. There's supports there. She pops her shield to mitigate the damage of her AoE attack. Misfortune moves to intercept, but Misfortune doesn't want to go into the jungle because that would be really dangerous and stupid. She has no idea where the other teammates are at this moment. So they're gearing up for a team fight. They're all going to meet mid. And this is a slightly awkward team fight. You got 3 here. I mean, look at Teemo instantly gets taken down a decent amount. Let me slow this down actually too. Go in slow-mo mode. Okay, so yeah. Teemo first of all runs right into the barrel, which does a ridiculous amount of damage. He's pushing Gragas back. Teemo, so the reason this is a weird position, I mean, look at how spread out blue team is. They're like literally all equally distant from each other. So is purple right now, but they're in a better situation because they can easily converge like on this strip of grass, say. They're all like right there. Whereas Rammus has to walk all around this. Sona, there's a ledge here, so she has to go here and then here. And then they have this ledge too. So unless Teemo could come back here, but he probably can't because Gragas is going to cut him off with another barrel toss. So for blue, this is not looking to be a good engage, and we'll see how that plays out right now. So they're moving in. Teemo can't connect with his teammates, and he takes a bunch of damage. Morgana tries to get a stun off, and they see Morgana moving in, so they're going to turn around and try attack her. So she plays a pretty smart move. She pops her shield. She's immune to a bunch of damage. She gets focused on because of that, and because of it, she doesn't take much damage, so they're able to get off a bunch of damage. But then Misfortune fires her ulti, which is like, you know, I mean, you can see it right there. It runs across the entire team. They were all in that same spot, so that a lot of them got weak. Misfortune's pretty fed, so she's gonna easily take Teemo. Rammus moves in to attack her, and this is not a good play in my opinion. Now Sona needs to fall back. Misfortune is probably more important to take down than Gragas. I mean, we want to get Gragas because look at, he's only got 55 health. Literally one auto attack from Morgana would kill him. But the problem is Gragas has his he has an escape ability where he slides forward, so it's pretty easy for him to get away. If you watch right here, he slides away. Morgana should have just turned around and said, fuck it, I'm not going to catch up. Turn around, ignore Soraka, and kill Misfortune. But unfortunately, if I remember right, Misfortune just gets away because of the heal. So Rammus is like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. She's got support, she's got heals, she's got damage. I'm going to leave. He runs away. Morgana is still chasing up there. Now, at this point, Morgana has to chase or do something because Gragas is here, they're here. This is also kind of weird. Soraka just runs up into the jungle by herself, and if Morgana wanted to, she could probably kill Soraka. 14 to 12. She almost catches him, but gets away. But anyway, goes back. All plays out all right. Be sure to be checking the gold differential up here again. It's still significant. 3-to-1 towers. Quite a bit more kills. You can watch the items playing out. There's just more items on this side of the screen than there are this side because they have more gold. If we look, 57 to 88 team. Like usually you compare where they've been. These are the 2 solo tops. That is a significant gold difference. And pretty much significant across the board. They're all less. So that basically translates directly into power. I mean, the more gold you have, the more items you can buy, the more powerful you are. That's short and dry or whatever. Okay, let's move on to 28. So another team fight and another kind of not a split push, but focusing on 2 different things. So we got a right now it's 4v4 immediately, but Ezreal's also moving in for the 5v4 potential team fight, but it's kind of awkward for both teams. And while this is happening, while they're kind of like tentatively engaging each other, Darius is down here fighting Dragon. Now, what's nice is they planted a sight ward here. Again, by wards, they're very useful. Had this ward not been here, this wouldn't happen, but this ward allows them to see that Darius is fighting Dragon. So they know that it's 5v4. that's the first thing. Second thing is they kind of want to engage, but the positioning is weird, right? They have 3 guys here, and they have Gragas here who's split off by this wall. Now, preferably Gragas would be over here, or these 3 would be like right here. So if they did want to engage, it's just a short step for everyone. And had they known that there are only 3 guys here, because Ezreal's over here and Teemo's doing his own thing in this bush, they might have been able to pick a guy really quick. But neither team is really feeling confident. Gragas moves away. They're all kind of split up. There's only 3 here. You know, they're kind of split up. And let's go back for a second because this is funny. So, you know, they're all in their weird positions. They see the site ward. They see that Darius is about to finish Dragon. So Ezreal takes a shot in the dark, and he fires his ulti, which travels all the way across the map, and steals Dragon for the blue team. Which means everyone on blue just got a gold boost. So that's a pretty smart play. But then, then something really stupid happens that totally ruins it. Morgana, for whatever reason, goes hyper aggressive and like 1v5s the team. You can watch, look at, they're pinging like crazy, like, what are you doing, you crazy bitch, get back, are you kidding me? We just got the Dragon Steal bonus, and the team didn't want to go out. It would have been suicide, it was a bad engage, and Morgana just gets picked off. So you might be thinking, oh, that sucks, well, it's only just 1 kill. Well, it's not just 1 kill. Because now they feel confident. It's 5v4. So that not only did they get a kill on Morgana, which got them a bunch of gold, they also get an inhibitor, which gave, I guess you don't get like a spread out gold bonus for that, but you know, he gets a gold bonus. They get the minion kills, and it results in a couple more deaths, as we'll see play out right now. So they get 1 and they get 2 more kills, all because Morgana wanted to be greedy. But then Gragas gets a little greedy on their side too. And this if I remember right, this doesn't like play out badly, but it could play out badly. So everyone decides to go back, which first of all is kind of interesting, because they're level 15, 14. I mean, the problem is that Darius is really low, I guess. But they had an opportunity here because 2 of their guys, I mean, 25 seconds is a long time yet. They could have rushed Baron and tried to get Baron because they had 5 guys. Especially if they could have got a heal on Darius, which Soraka could have. She could have double healed him if she wanted to. So that would have been an opportune moment to go and get Baron and get the buff. But for whatever reason, they chose to go back, probably to buy. I'm assuming they all have a fair amount of gold to spend. But for whatever reason, Gragas also gets a little greedy. And he's 1v3, and everybody just went back. They're all bailing on him right now. Which they should have, you know, like this sort of situation, I'm pretty sure he gets away. But this could have been really bad. I mean, it would have just been a free kill. Not like terrible, like it would have ruined the game or something. But it would have been a free kill in certain circumstances. If you see your teammate, like, for whatever reason, being like really greedy, I mean, I guess he does get a kill, so that turned out good, but it's still a bit risky. If you see a teammate engaging like that, it might be better to stop your recall. Even if you're a little bit injured, stay hidden. Like, they stayed in this bush, and the 2 guys up here fell back a bit, they could have chased out Gragas and got a triple kill right there, potentially. At least that he would have been safe, you know, like, they couldn't have jumped him and 3v1'd him and got a kill. So another thing to think about. Okay, let's fast forward to 32:40. Which, oh, that was just like right there anyway. Okay, so they're looking at a Baron attempt right now. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, so blue team is looking at a Baron attempt. And it's a bit risky. I mean, they probably, you know, they know that they're back at the base for whatever reason. Let me pause this for a sec. So blue team, for whatever reason, they felt secure that they could start a Baron. Or they were thinking, we're going to start a Baron just to force an engage. Because if we start Baron, generally the other team has to engage against us to try and stop us. Because if we get Baron, we get gold and we get a really powerful buff. that can, you know, potentially just end the game. So it's what you'll find is in League of Legends games, when you're more towards level 18, you're going to find a lot of battles are going to be happening around Baron. Basically, teams going in and pretending to take it, or actually taking it, and then team fights ensuing. So they started Baron. They heard him just a little bit, and they knew that. Let me go back for a sec. So we see Maokai and Soraka. They see that they're moving in. They decide to stand in this bush, and they should have waited. I mean, there are 4 guys here. The 5th guy is a decent ways away, but his ulti is down. So it was 4v2. Even still, that's a lot. Like 4v2 is generally not a good idea. Baron had like not even been hurt. Him jumping out and revealing that they're there, even though they probably knew they were there, is stupid. They should have just stayed in the bush, and if they made any movement towards them, they back off and wait for these guys to catch up. But for whatever reason, they didn't. They moved out. He ends up getting stunned. And it's 4v1 there. They're going to get a free kill. They all got a decent amount of gold. And now the other teammates are probably like, what the hell, man? That was a dumb idea. So they're going to try and go for some more kills. And we can just kind of watch that play out for a little bit. Check out the action. They get a kill on Gragas. And now they're feeling really confident about Baron, because it's 5v3. These 2 guys are totally useless. So they're going to get a nice, carefree Baron, because there's nothing to worry about. One thing you can do here, just like how Ezreal stole Dragon, you can steal Baron as well. It's just, you know, it's difficult. It's difficult to time it properly. And you don't want to rely on that. Okay, so now we're entering the late game. And you might ask yourself, okay, I got down the beginning part. I'm a new player, new spectator, whatever. And I understand the beginning because it seems a bit simple, but like, what about the late game? What's going on in the late game? What am I supposed to be doing? Well, you push lanes like these minions are moving down. You know you're going to end up a lot of times being around Baron or mid or Dragon or whatever. So you need to keep an eye on these on top and bottom lane. And you want to try and keep some momentum. So Rammus is down here. He's going to kill these minions. He might even do another wave, just so the minion wave can get a little bit momentum back in their direction. Because even if you're like losing a bit, a lot of times if you have good lane control, your minions can actually get entire towers for you, even though you were like never there, simply because you keep the lanes with forward momentum. So that's one thing to do. You can also hold lanes, like if you're on the defensive, you know, and there's not a team fight about to happen, then just go and protect a lane if there's someone moving up it. Pretty obvious. You can go for Dragon like they just did. You can go for Baron like they did. You can go for, you know, keep an eye on your blue and your red buff. Those are, you know, you should be getting those as often as possible because they're very helpful. So go for them. Make sure you constantly have someone with red and blue buff. The other thing is to farm like crazy. I mean, that's part of pushing the lanes. One thing to note, though, I guess I should mention with pushing lanes is, you know, like say you want to push this lane and you want to get it up to this tower so you can start getting damage. The moment you cross like this area where the river is, this is all increasingly risky. If you're here, you can still get away generally. But if you're here or further, it gets harder and harder and harder to get away because the enemy champions can easily move up and flank you and kill you. So just be aware that the only time you really want to go crazy and move in lanes is if you have a champion with high mobility that can get away from stuff, or you know that there's like a 5v4 down here and you're the only guy up here. You're fine. There's nothing to worry about. Just go crazy. Just keep an eye out, you know, if someone teleports in or something. Let's see, the last thing, stick together. A lot of people will just kind of run off and do their own thing a lot of times late game. I don't know why, because it almost always results in their death. So they like, I don't know why they never learn, but stick together as a team. After like level, sometimes as early as level 9 or 8 or something, you can have team fights, but generally around like 11, 12, 13 is when you start to really stick together as a team and engage as a team. So if you're a tank, if you're support, if you're, you know, the AP mid or whatever, like generally you guys kind of clump together and then farm when it's safe, like farm lanes when it's safe. Otherwise, stick together and run around and try and get team kills, or yeah, try and gank people or get into team fights. Because a lot of the problems too is you'll have like this guy, you know, Rammus, he'll be fighting these guys, and then the other 4 people on your team will actually engage 4v5 on the enemy team, like for no reason. They didn't have to engage. They just do because they thought it was a good idea, apparently. Don't do that. You know, group up first. Be like, hey, they're all mid. Rammus should just forget what he's doing or finish it really quick and haul his ass up here, and then when he's up there, engage 5v5 or have him flank behind so he can get champions that are injured that are trying to get away or something like that. So yeah, just play it safe, play it smart, be defensive, stick together. The late game is a lot of just being a team, you know, and farming. Okay, well, I'm just going to let this run for a little bit, and we can kind of watch it play out. As you can see, it's a pretty long demo, or replay. And I'm just going to, I have some other tips, basically. So I'll just set this to directed camera, and here are some other things to think about while you're playing. Actually, maybe I'll explain what they're doing right now. They must just be waiting to see if someone will go in, like walk into them and get a gank for free. Occasionally you can do that if you know. I don't know why they did it there, if they know that they're like way down here, but okay, so directed camera. Okay, good. Here are some general tips that might help improve your game. Less lane control is better than dying a bunch or feeding an enemy. If you are having a lot of trouble in a lane, like you're the solo top or you're mid or something, and the guy that you're playing against is better than you, don't be afraid to recognize that he's better than you and just play it safe. Play under the tower, have less lane control. You will get less farm, but you will live. And that's way, way, way better than running out and trying to regain lane control by killing them. The moment they have a couple more kills on you, they're getting significantly more powerful, so you have to be really careful. Call for your jungler, call for mid to come up or whatever. Have someone help you to regain lane control. Don't do it yourself, because it usually spirals out of control and you end up just feeding that champion and giving them a ton of kills. And then they get wildly overpowered, and sometimes you get to points where one champion can literally 1v4, 1v5 your team because he's so powerful, he's been fed so much. Don't let that happen. Don't stand around. Do something. You know, in a situation maybe like right now, these guys can't do much because they have to defend their tower. But when that's not happening, don't just stand around and kind of like wait for your team to make a move or something. Think of things to do. Can I clear lanes? Can I farm? Can I go for neutral mobs? Something as simple as placing wards can be a big deal. Or you can see Teemo's placed a ton of mushrooms. He's placing mushrooms like crazy. At least he's doing something. Go out in the jungle with someone or whatever. If you know where they're at, then go place some wards and try and get some wards down. Or you can position yourself strategically. Like if you don't have much to do, your lane's clear, whatever, then look at the mini-map and say, I know where the enemies are, I know where my allies are. Do any of my allies need help? I'll move towards them. Are they going, you know, are they about to engage or get engaged on? Try and guess and place yourself strategically so you can help them. If you're going to die, if you get into a situation where you're like, yeah, I'm not getting out of here, it's 1v3 or it's 1v1, but he's just owning me. If you're pretty sure you're going to die, you're probably going to die. So turn around and do as much damage as you can. Because if you can do a ton of damage to the weakest champion and get him really low, either you can get an ignite off and kill him, or if you have someone on your team like Ezreal or Karthus or Shen or something that can shoot across the map or teleport in or whatever, you can allow someone on your team to get a free kill. And that's a lot better than you just dying. So a lot of it is just mitigating losses by forcing something to happen. That can also be summoner spells, like getting someone to force a flash or force their exhaust, or having them use their ulti and now they don't have it for a team fight. Like, that can be better. Think about it as a way you're trying to mitigate the damage. Alright, strategically place yourself, like I said. Watch, that's a kind of an interesting one. I'm going to have to pull away here for a sec. So I was watching a match with some pros in it, and they were doing something really interesting. They were pushing top lane, and they were going for this turret right here. And what they did was they had like 3 of their champions that were hitting the turret, and then they had their tankier champions, like I think they had like one guy here or one guy here, one guy here, and basically all those guys were doing, rather than helping tank down the turret, because they don't need to, right? They got the AD carries there, it's later in the game, they're doing lots of damage. Oops. They stood here to keep an eye on whether enemy champions were coming, you know? That's really smart. And that's something to think about. Like, am I playing a tanky character? I don't need to be beaten on this tower. Let me go stand, like, in this bush even. If I have a good way to get away, that'd be smart. You could stand here and see, oh my god, all 4 of them are coming. Everyone back off. They're all buffed and they're all full health. We're a bit injured. You can warn your team rather than being right here and then suddenly being surprised. They start teleporting over this wall, and next thing you know, your whole team's dead. Which reminded me too, don't get overly greedy. A lot of people will, they'll get this turret, and then they'll get this one, and the whole team shows up, and everyone's injured, but they still keep pushing the turret because we gotta get it. We're so close to being dead. Well, then you end up, yeah, you get the turret, but also guess what? You get your team gets aced, or even if like 2 or 3 people died, that's like not a good replacement. So definitely think about that. Let's see, another interesting one, strategically planning tower hits. Now this is a bit more advanced. And what that means is, say, let's see. Let me think of an example. Say you are tower diving someone. Let me go somewhere where there's not people, so it's easier to draw this out. So say you're the only guy at this tower. Or the enemy is the only guy at this tower. And there's you and your jungle. And your jungle is a beefier guy. He's Rammus, he's got some health. You're squishy. If you get tower hit, you're gonna really get torn apart. So you can strategically plan tower hits by saying, Rammus, we're gonna move in on the tower at the same time. There's minions there, they'll steal focus. You need to get the first hit. I'm going to let you get the first hit so the tower targets you since you have more health. And then you, as the AD carry champion, can go in and do a lot of damage, and you don't have to worry about the tower targeting you. So be mindful of that. When you have like you're fighting under towers, try and figure out who needs to attack first. Generally, it's going to be the tankier guy, or it's going to be like your support character who's really fast, or Master Yi who's really fast, like someone who can get in and get out, or flash out, or something like that. Do not let the tower attack the guy who's the guy who does the most damage, but also going to get torn apart. So again, a bit more advanced, but good idea. Okay. If someone, let's see. Oh, lane swapping. I didn't forget to mention that before. If you're having trouble in a lane, you can lane swap with people. Ask someone on your team, hey, I can't fight against this guy. He's countering me too much. He's too powerful. I'm not good enough. See if someone in bot lane will switch with you, or mid will switch with you if you can. It can be a lot better than dying a bunch. You can also lane swap if you're doing really good. Like say you moved up and you got this tower and you're doing lots of damage versus tower, like Vayne does lots of damage against towers. Say she's a little bit fed, she's tearing apart towers. She can lane swap with bottom who hasn't got their tower yet. Let some guy who's not as let whoever's bot maybe not doing as much damage or something to go top and just play defensively while you go down, tear apart the enemies, and get the tower. Oh, I should probably watch that. Oh, I gotta go back. Ezreal gets a quad. So what does he get? He gets Darius. Teemo gets torn apart as usual. Nice. Jumps in for Maokai. He must get Soraka then too. Yeah, you can usually tear apart support champions pretty easy, so. Nice. What a pro. Okay. Okay, so I was just talking about lane swapping, so definitely something to consider. If someone's fed on your team, try and keep up the momentum. That's another reason why you can do lane swapping and stuff. If someone's really fed, or there's someone who's really weak, you're like, oh, you could, you know, you're a really fed Darius and you could tear apart Teemo. Keep him in the lane with Teemo and let him get really, really fed by farming Teemo. Conversely, if the enemy team is really fed, your number one priority is to like avoid that champion and definitely don't die from him. Like if he shows up, just run away because it's not worth it. Like I said, that can snowball out of control, and before you know it, everyone's like just getting torn apart, and you have champions that can literally tear apart like 1v5. It's crazy. Okay, when should I gank? That might be a question you were wondering. You can gank not only as jungle, but you can gank any lane. If you're top, you can come down and try and help mid. If you're mid, you can go top or bottom. But you need to, you know, when should you do it? When is a good time? Well, you just look for opportunities. Is one of the purple guys like right under the turret that's really harassing Morgana, and Morgana's actually got a decent amount of health, plus she's got her stun up. So you run down, she stuns, then you double team her. So you just look for little opportunities like that. Look for weak champions who are, you know, they're very injured, so you can go in and get them. You look for supports that got split off, and you know, they're easy to kill, so you going for the gank. So it's just a judgment call. I mean, there's not necessarily like science behind it as much as it's just looks like a good time, and you know, hopefully it works out. How do I team fight? Guidelines. These are just guidelines. You can look into more advanced team fighting in the future, but for the time being, basically you want to position yourself intelligently, meaning that if you're taking lots of damage, you'll want to run away. Like if you're the AD carry, I keep going back to that, but just because it's I think it's a good champion to kind of like base your strategies around. But if you're playing AD carry, say, and your job is to kind of, you know, stand to the side and try and get damage without taking lots of damage, because you know you get hurt pretty easily. So like say Misfortune's here and she notices we're engaging as a team and I'm taking lots of damage. She wants to move away, like fall back, try and get them to disengage on you, and the moment they disengage, move back in and try and do damage. You want your tankier guys to be taking the damage, obviously. So position yourself strategically. If you're playing the tank, put yourself in the position where they want to target you. You're always like right there, ready to be targeted. A lot of times people, like, they get it in their head, like once I'm targeting Maokai or Gragas or something like that, or Darius even, I have to only target him, even though the AD carry and the support moved in and they're easy targets. That they're playing with your head, so you need to recognize, like, target Gragas at first and then switch focus to Soraka, or preferably switch focus to Misfortune so she doesn't get a bunch of damage off on you. If you're not targeted, then go crazy. Do a lot of damage. I think I just mentioned this earlier at the beginning of the video. Don't just think of in terms of kills and damage. You can do other things like scare people away by having good positioning or casting certain abilities or whatever. I mean, if someone's moving in on your turret, you don't necessarily have to kill them to get them to go away. You can scare them by calling up your jungle and provoking them a little bit, even if you can't get the gank. You can use like psychological warfare, you know, and scare them. So, also just think about harassment. You don't have to harass someone and kill them. You can just harass them so that they can't make moves. If someone's at like half health, they're probably not going to run in and try and get a turret because it's too risky. Even if you can't get the kill, just get them down. It's you know, like attrition damage. You can also use AoE effects. I think there was a moment in this game earlier where Miss Fortune like casted her AoE effect. Actually, it might have been over here, and she blocked off the ramp so that the enemies weren't like they didn't want to run through it. So it bought time for her allies to run away. Very smart. Let's see. Lastly, be positive. The League of Legends community is really negative a lot of times. They're trying to mitigate that with like this thing where you can reward people with like badges, kind of, or you can say that they were friendly or had good teamwork and stuff. But even still with that, people are still pretty negative. So as an individual playing the game, try and spread a little positivity. That has nothing to do with competitiveness, just something that should be mentioned, because sometimes it's just ridiculous. People, like, they get really mad if you do bad, or you know, they'll blame like one guy on the team for like literally everything that's happened, even though it's totally absurd. Yeah, I might have mentioned this earlier too. Pinging the map. That, like, some people think that when you ping the map, that automatically means like go to that area or something. But a lot of times it's just for indicating something, like, oh, I just saw the guy, he's over there, the jungle's there. That doesn't mean converge on that spot and attack him. It just means, hey, notifying the team that some guy's there. That's a very minor thing, but some people do like actually react to that, and they like, haha, they just like run off and go get killed. Don't do that. Okay. That actually covers everything, so I'm just going to fast forward. This has a surprising ending, in my opinion, because of the gold difference. I'm kind of spoiling it, but I think you'll probably see where I'm going. If we fast forward, they get in another team fight, and they're approaching the end. Look at, they wipe them out, decimated. And they've had a lot of back and forth team fights, and if you look at, they closed the gold gap a lot. So that's another thing. A lot of people will be like really negative and be like, well, we can never win this, even though it's not that far apart. They'll just give up, and some people will like just literally sit on the summoner's platform and never play, and then it just ruins the game. Or negative people, a lot of times they'll literally spend like the entire game typing, and they never like actually, they don't like do anything. They just sit there and type about how stupid everyone is on their team. That's totally pointless, because look at, this is a perfect example of a game that can turn around. Blue team was so far behind for a long time. I mean, the gold difference was massive. Now they've almost tied it up, and they win the game. Right here, this is the end. Because they have 3 guys down, these guys can't even, these guys can't stop them anymore. And there it is. Victory! So, okay. Very long episode, I know. That was a lot to talk about, but I think that's inevitable when you're playing a MOBA. There's just a lot to talk about. It's like, you know, like StarCraft 2 or something. There's just so much to talk about, so they run a bit long. But thank you very much for sticking through to the end. Hopefully you learned some stuff. These are all just like guidelines, things to think about. Hopefully it helps. Remember, you know, this is for new players and spectators. If you're really good at League, a lot of this is going to be just totally stuff you already knew. It's going to be very obvious. But if you're new, hopefully this video helps. Stick around for future episodes. There will be more for other games. I'm trying to do lots of different competitive titles. You can follow us on Twitter at SpawnRoom. Please subscribe above. Subscribing and following on Twitter helps a lot. So if you haven't done that, definitely consider it. Leave any comments, suggestions. If you have a game that you want me to test or whatever, post it or tweet at me. So yes, thank you very much for watching as always, and see you next time.